The Silent Colony. The morning sun on Kepler 186 rose with a gentle orange glow, casting long shadows across the settlement of New Haven. Children played in the community gardens while their parents worked in the titanium mines or tended to the hydroponic farms. It was a small colony, home to just 12,000 souls who had traveled light years from Earth to build a new life among the stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her laboratory window, watching the sunrise paint the alien sky in breathtaking hues. As the colony's chief scientist, she had spent 5 years studying this world's unique ecosystem. Today felt different somehow, though she couldn't explain why. Perhaps it was the unusual readings her instruments had detected in the upper atmosphere during the night. "Sarah, you need to see this," called out her assistant, Marcus Torres, from across the lab. His voice carried an edge of concern that made her skin prickle. She crossed to his workstation where multiple screens displayed data from their orbital satellites. "What am I looking at?" "Spatial distortions, massive ones, about 3 astronomical units out from our position." Marcus's fingers flew across the keyboard, bringing up more detailed scans. "Whatever's causing them, it's not natural." Sarah leaned closer, her scientific mind racing through possibilities. The readings were unlike anything in their databases. Could be a wormhole formation, or maybe. The lab's emergency lighting suddenly bathed everything in red. The colony-wide alert system activated, its mechanical voice echoing through every building. "All residents to emergency stations. This is not a drill." Governor Michael Rodriguez's face appeared on every screen in the colony. His usually calm demeanor was replaced by barely controlled panic. "Citizens of New Haven, we've detected multiple unknown vessels entering our system. They're not responding to our hails. I need everyone to follow emergency protocols immediately." Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances before rushing to the colony's command center. The underground bunker buzzed with activity as technicians and administrators worked frantically at their stations. On the main display, 17 massive shapes emerged from the darkness of space, their hulls gleaming with an alien design that defied human understanding. "They're beautiful," someone whispered, and Sarah had to agree. The ships were works of art, their surfaces covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. But beauty often masked danger in the universe. "Any response to our communications?" Rodriguez asked the communications officer. "Negative, sir. We've tried every frequency, every language in our database. They're either ignoring us or—" The officer never finished her sentence. A beam of pure energy erupted from the lead alien vessel, striking the colony's main communications array. The explosion rocked the underground bunker, sending people stumbling. "Shields up," Rodriguez commanded, though everyone knew their defensive systems were designed for meteor strikes, not alien weapons. Sarah watched in horror as more beams lanced out from the alien fleet. Each strike was precise, surgical, targeting defensive installations, power generators, and infrastructure. They weren't trying to communicate. They were systematically destroying New Haven's ability to defend itself. "Why?" Marcus voiced what everyone was thinking. "We've done nothing to them. We don't even know who they are." The main screen flickered, then displayed an alien face. It was vaguely humanoid, but with skin that seemed to be made of shifting chrome and eyes that held no warmth, only cold calculation. When it spoke, the universal translator struggled before rendering the words in English. "Humans of colony designation NH1. You are guilty of expansion into Xerathi space. Your presence is contamination. Your existence here is ended." Rodriguez stepped forward, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "We had no knowledge of your claim to this system. We're peaceful settlers. Let us evacuate." The transmission cut off. The alien bombardment intensified. Sarah grabbed the emergency transmitter, her fingers flying over the controls. If they were going to die, the rest of humanity needed to know what happened here. She encoded everything. The attack, the aliens' appearance, their technology readings, their declaration. As the ceiling began to crack and dust rained down, She initiated the quantum burst transmission, a technology that could send a message faster than light to Earth. "Message away," she reported, just as the bunker's lights failed. Above ground, New Haven died in fire and light. The Exorethi weapons didn't just destroy. They annihilated, leaving nothing but glass and ash, where once stood homes, schools, and dreams. In less than 20 minutes, 12,000 human lives were extinguished. The Exorethi fleet departed as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving only silence and cooling debris. They considered the matter concluded, the contamination removed. It was, to them, a routine cleansing. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. Light years away, in a facility buried deep beneath the Antarctic ice, an alarm that hadn't sounded in 50 years shrieked to life. General Amanda Foster, head of Earth's Unified Defense Council, was in her office within minutes. "Report," she commanded. "Quantum burst from New Haven, Mom. Priority Alpha." The technician's face was pale. It's a complete loss. Alien attack. No survivors." Foster's expression hardened. She turned to her aide. "Wake them up. Mom. The Council. All of them. And prepare to activate Project Starshield." She paused at the door. Humanity just received a wake-up call. Across Earth and its colonies, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, screens lit up with the same message. Men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment began to move. They had different nationalities, spoke different languages, but they shared one purpose: the defense of humanity. Dr. James Wright stood before the assembled council, the weight of 50 years of preparation on his shoulders. Behind him, holographic displays showed schematics that would have seemed like science fiction to most humans. "Ladies and gentlemen, Project Starshield was initiated after we discovered we weren't alone in the universe. For 5 decades, we've been building in secret, preparing for the day when humanity would need to defend itself." He gestured to the displays. "That day has come." The schematics revealed the truth that had been hidden from the public. Humanity hadn't just been exploring space. They'd been militarizing it. In the asteroid belt, in the Oort cloud, in hidden facilities throughout the solar system, warships had been constructed. Not dozens or hundreds, but hundreds of thousands. "The Exorethi destroyed New Haven," Wright continued. "They didn't attempt diplomacy. They didn't offer terms. They simply erased 12,000 human lives." He brought up the final transmission from Dr. Chen. "But in their arrogance, they made a mistake. They let us see their technology, analyze their weapons, understand their capabilities." General Foster stepped forward. "The question isn't whether we respond. The question is how hard we hit back." The debate that followed was brief. The footage from New Haven spoke louder than words. When the vote came, it was unanimous. Within hours, orders flashed across human space. On Mars, massive hangar doors that had been sealed for decades began to open. In the asteroid belt, mountains revealed themselves to be camouflaged shipyards. Around Jupiter, entire moons turned out to be defensive platforms. The pride of the fleet was the Retribution-class dreadnoughts, each one a kilometer long and bristling with weapons that made nuclear bombs look like firecrackers. But it wasn't their firepower that made them special. It was their quantum drives, technology that allowed them to fold space itself. Captain David Kim stood on the bridge of the flagship Nemesis, watching as his fleet assembled. His family had been among the first colonists on Kepler 186 staff. His niece had been in that playground when the Exorethi attacked. "Fleet status," he asked his XO. 700,000 vessels responding, sir. All classifications, all ready for jump." Kim nodded. The numbers still staggered him. Humanity had built an armada in secret that dwarfed anything the galaxy had seen. But it wasn't about conquest or empire. It was about sending a message. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. "All ships, this is Fleet Command." Kim's voice reached every vessel. "The Exorethi think they can erase us with impunity. They think we're weak, scattered, defenseless. Today, we show them the truth. Today, we show them that human lives are not free. Set course for HFY space. Let's introduce ourselves properly. Space itself seemed to scream as 700,000 quantum drives activated simultaneously. The fabric of reality bent and twisted as humanity's revenge fleet tore through the cosmos, heading for the coordinates pulled from New Haven's final transmission. The Sci-Fi were about to learn why humans had survived every challenge their own world had thrown at them, why they had spread across the stars despite all odds. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their refusal to surrender. The Reckoning. Commander Zexhal of the Xerathi Empire stood on the observation deck of their homeworld's primary defense station, reviewing the report from the human colony, cleansing with satisfaction. The operation had been textbook perfect, swift, decisive, complete. Another contamination removed, his lieutenant reported. The human presence in Sector 7G has been eliminated. Excellent. Mark it in the records as routine territorial maintenance. Zexhal's chrome-like skin rippled with approval. To him, humans were just another species that needed to learn their place in the galaxy. They'd shown such promise initially, creative, adaptable, curious. But their expansion had become problematic. Begin preparations for the next cleansing. There are 3 more human colonies within our expanded borders. The lieutenant hesitated. Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting unusual readings from the quantum layer. Zexhal waved a dismissive appendage. Debris from our weapons, nothing more. The humans at that colony did manage to send a distress signal before we finished them. Let their kind mourn. Fear keeps lesser species in line. But the readings didn't dissipate. They grew stronger. Across the vast expanse of Xerathi space, similar reports began flooding in. Quantum disturbances unlike anything in their records. The Xerathi's own use of quantum technology was limited. They considered such methods inelegant, preferring the raw power of their energy weapons. Sir, the lieutenant's voice cracked with something the Xerathi rarely experienced. Fear. The disturbances are multiplying. Computer analysis suggests incoming vessels. Impossible. No species has that level of quantum technology. But even as Zexhal spoke, alarms began wailing across the station. On the main tactical display, points of light began appearing. Dozens, hundreds, thousands. How many? Zexhal demanded. System still counting, sir. Current estimate. Exceeded. Error. Recalibrating. 700,000 contacts and rising. The number hit Zexhal like a physical blow. Their entire fleet across all territories numbered barely 50,000 vessels. He watched in growing horror as space itself seemed to tear open, disgorging ship after ship after ship, human ships. They emerged from quantum space with surgical precision, surrounding not just the homeworld, but every major Xerathi installation simultaneously. The coordination required for such a maneuver was beyond anything that Xerathi had thought possible. The human fleet was a masterpiece of diverse design philosophy. Sleek destroyers darted between massive dreadnoughts. Carriers deployed swarms of fighters while artillery platforms locked onto targets with weapons that made Xerathi technology look primitive. Each ship bore the same marking, a blue and green sphere surrounded by stars. Earth. The world they dismissed as insignificant. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Captain Kim studied the tactical display with cold satisfaction. All ships in position. Xerathi fleet scrambling to respond. His communications officer turned. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Xerathi homeworld. They're requesting dialogue. Kim's expression didn't change. Put them through. Zexhal's image appeared on the main screen. The chrome-skinned alien's usual arrogance was gone, replaced by something approaching panic. Human commander, this overwhelming force is unnecessary. The cleansing of your colony was a legitimate territorial action. We can negotiate. 12,000, Kim interrupted. What? 12,000 humans lived on New Haven. families, children, scientists, people who came in peace, who built homes, who looked at the stars with wonder. Kim's voice remained level, but his bridge crew could feel the fury beneath it. You didn't negotiate with them. It was necessary. Your expansion threatens the cosmic order. Lesser species must know their place. Kim leaned forward. Let me explain humanity's place. Commander, we are explorers. We are builders. We are dreamers. But above all else, we are survivors. And when someone hurts our family, we respond. Surely we can reach an accommodation. Your show of force has been noted. We acknowledge human military capability. You misunderstand, Commander. Kim stood, his expression granite. This isn't a show of force. This is a lesson. He turned to his weapons officer. All ships. Target every Exarathi military installation, every weapons platform, every ship in their fleet. Fire. Space erupted in violence that dwarfed anything the galaxy had witnessed. Human weapons, refined through 50 years of secret development, proved devastatingly superior to Exarathi defenses. Kinetic weapons accelerated to near-light speed punched through shields like paper. Energy weapons that manipulated fundamental forces reduced armor to constituent atoms. Quantum torpedoes phased through defensive screens to detonate inside enemy ships. The Exarathi fleet fought back with desperate courage, but they were outnumbered 14-1 and outgunned by a factor even higher. Their weapons, so effective against the defenseless New Haven, barely scratched human shields designed to withstand supernovas. In the command station, Zexal watched his empire's military might evaporate. Thousands of years of dominance ended in minutes, but something puzzled him through his despair. The humans were precise, surgical. They targeted only military assets. Sir, his tactical officer reported, voice trembling. They're not firing on civilian targets. Population centers, agricultural worlds, cultural sites, all untouched. As if reading his thoughts, Kim's image reappeared on screen. We're not you, Commander. We don't slaughter innocents. Your military is being neutralized because it's a threat. Your civilians are safe because humans understand the difference between justice and genocide. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the Exarathi Empire's military might was reduced to scrap metal floating in space. But their worlds, their people, remained unharmed. Why? Zexal asked, his voice barely a whisper. You have the power to annihilate us. Why show mercy? Kim's expression softened slightly. Because that's what separates us from you. Humanity doesn't seek empire or domination. We want to explore, to learn, to grow alongside other species. But we will defend ourselves, and we will avenge our own. He paused, then continued. This is your one and only warning, Commander. Humanity takes our place among the stars as equals to all and superiors to none. But harm our people again, and next time we won't be so restrained. The transmission ended. Across Exarathi space, human ships began withdrawing, leaving behind a militarily castrated but otherwise intact civilization. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed them utterly, but chose not to. News of the battle spread across the galaxy at faster than light speeds. Ancient empires that had dismissed humans as primitives scrambled to reassess. Military analysts studied the combat footage in disbelief. Diplomatic channels that had ignored Earth for decades suddenly flooded with communication requests. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Kim received a priority message from Earth. General Foster's face appeared, her expression grim but satisfied. Captain, you've just rewritten galactic politics. Every major power is requesting diplomatic relations. They want treaties, trade agreements, cultural exchanges. They're terrified. Good, Kim replied. Fear will keep them from making the Exarathi's mistake. But what happens now? Foster smiled slightly. Now we do what humans do best. We build. We explore. We make friends with those who'll have us and stay ready for those who won't. The President is announcing the Human Protection Doctrine tomorrow. Any attack on human civilians will be met with overwhelming response. Kim nodded. And the fleet? Standing orders are to maintain readiness, but prioritize exploration and diplomatic missions. We've shown our stick. Time to offer some carrots. As the Nemesis and its escort jumped back toward human space, Kim reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Humanity had hidden its strength for decades, but now there was no going back. They'd announced themselves to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as a species that would fiercely protect its own, while extending a hand of friendship to others. In the following months, the galaxy watched in fascination as humanity leveraged its newfound position. The same technology that powered their warships was offered for civilian use: medical advances, communication systems, transportation networks. Human diplomats, backed by the implicit threat of their fleet, negotiated fair treaties that benefited all parties. The Exorethi, stripped of their military dominance, underwent a cultural revolution. Without the ability to impose their will through force, they were compelled to engage with other species as equals. Many historians would later note this as the beginning of their golden age. A year after New Haven's destruction, a memorial was erected on Earth's moon, visible through telescopes from the planet's surface. It bore the names of all 12,000 colonists and a simple inscription: "They died so humanity could stand tall among the stars. We remember, we endure, we protect our own." The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson about humanity. They were slow to anger, eager for friendship, and possessed of an almost naive optimism about the future. But when pushed, when their children were threatened, they could summon a fury that would shake the cosmos itself. 700,000 warships still patrolled human space, not as conquerors but as guardians. Most species found comfort in this, knowing that humanity's strength was directed toward protection rather than subjugation. The few who still harbored aggressive intentions looked at the memorial on the moon and reconsidered. The message was clear: humanity had taken its place among the stars, and they were here to stay. They came in peace, but they were prepared for war. They offered friendship but demanded respect. And above all, they protected their own. The stars no longer seemed quite so dark or cold. Humanity had found its place among them, not through conquest, but through the simple declaration that human life had value, that their children had the right to dream beneath alien suns, and that any who threatened those dreams would face the full might of a species that had conquered its own world and now stood ready to defend its place in the cosmos. The age of human expansion had truly begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.